Sandra's already here. How you guys doing? I think, oh wow, it's right on 2 o'clock. Perfect. I had to grab a snack here and I was afraid that I was going to be a little bit late. How was your week, Sandra? Giving everybody, oh, we got another one. Howdy, howdy, howdy. Oh, I want to give you guys a little, oh, you've had a better week. Ooh. Yeah, I had a little, some interesting realizations this week. Hopefully your week turned around and you've got some fun new challenges for this week. Sandra says she's in Oregon. She had to put down her cat. Oh, I'm so sorry. He's 15. I'm sorry to hear that. That's not fun. It's never easy to lose a pet. They're kind of like our kids. You've had them for 15 years, so probably a good chunk of your life. Jeez. Well, he's in happy cat paradise now. He's lying in that universal window in the universal sun, catching all those infinite rays. He or she. I'm sorry to hear that. That's hard to lose babies. I didn't. How did your drive go? Hopefully you're in a safe, warm, cozy place down there. You're able to kind of reconnect. Oh, buddy. That's good. I'm glad. Is Jeremy with you? Well, as far as my week went, I was pretty. Oh, Jeremy's in Seattle. When are you coming home? Hopefully not too long. So tomorrow you drive home and you're going to have, what is that? Well, depending on where in Oregon you are. It's a pretty good drive. There's more traffic on the roads now. Everybody's sick of being in quarantine, so everybody's out driving around doing stuff. And some businesses have reopened, so you might catch a little traffic, but hopefully not too bad. Giving everybody a few minutes here. Grants Pass. Is that Eastern Oregon? Life's crazy. Giving everybody a few more minutes. If you're just joining us, I want to take a minute and welcome you. We're on week 4 of the Artist's Way. This week marks the quarter point of getting through this. So we're about 25% of the way through this now that we've ended week 3. So that means we've got another 75% to go. You're a good chunk of the way through. This is the perfect time for a lot of people to lose interest and drop off, which I'm encouraging you not to do. A lot of times when I'm getting started on stuff, it's easy to just, it's hard for that initial push to get started. And then for me personally, I lose interest rather quickly, especially when things start to get touchy. And this process is especially touchy in that we're taking a look at things that we can do to improve our situation and realize our goals, which a lot of times there's some blockages with that. So right now I'm finding that this last week I was really on par with the book. Last week our major topic was recovering a sense of power. If you look here on page 77, we have our check-in, and we've just got a couple questions here to look at. I actually missed 2 days of my morning pages, and I found that when I did the pages, it helped me to stay focused, and I checked off a lot of stuff off my list of things that I wanted to do, creatively speaking and otherwise. And the days that I didn't do it, it was kind of just boiling down to that discipline where, one day after work, I went and visited my mom and I stayed pretty late. And then when I got home, I was tired. I just went to bed. And then the other day, I just ended up I want to say forgetting, but I don't think that I was actually forgetting to do it. Did you do all of your morning pages, Sandra? Did you guys tuning in, get all your morning pages done? And if not, what was the reason that you didn't do it? Feel free to share, or maybe a little time to introspect on that. And then also, did you do your artist date this week? What I ended up doing for my artist date was I just took time and I watched a lot of visuals that people paired with to animate music. And I ended up really just watching people's visual renditions, visual interpretations of music. And that I found to be really inspiring to me, just the different styles and ways in which people approach that. So that's kind of what I did for my artist date. And I found a lot of inspiration from that. So that was really cool. Did you guys do your artist date? If so, what did you do? Was there anything that really clicked with you when you did that? Did you feel inspired? And on that same note, I kind of have a theme going here for my creative drive. On our check-in number 3, did you experience any synchronicity this week, and what was it? And just a reminder on what the synchronicity was. I found that this was kind of profound for me, just where I'm at. Oof, the big thing, yeah. So there's a lot of big stuff for me. So synchronicity for me, on the same level of watching the visuals that people have created for music. I've been wanting to do that for a long time, and it's just been something that I haven't carved out the time to do. So I found that being inspired caused me to, that desire has been kind of burning inside, to the point to where it's I just haven't been letting myself do it, and whatever the excuse is. So for me, it's I know a group of people. I volunteer with an event company, Waves, here in Seattle, and there's a lot of local music producers that I know from that. And so I have connections to people that create original music. And so I went and asked them. The synchronicity for me was the desire to be able to do that. And when I went into that group and I asked, hey, does anybody have any original music you can throw my way, and I'll kind of just make something for you just for practice. I got a list. Now I have a list of 5 or 6 people, multiple people, multiple music pieces to go through and then visually animate with my own interpretation. So that synchronicity hit really hard with me. Like, I have more than enough opportunity to create cool stuff, and the synchronicity kind of popped into, you know, there's so many doors opening for me. And, you know, is there anything for you guys like that happened for you guys where you're like, okay, you decide you're going to do something and you're like definitive, like, I'm going to do this. Finally, I'm going to do it. And then you take one step in and all of a sudden the universe opens like multiple avenues. Let's see, I'm behind on these. Sandra says she fell off the bandwagon, only wrote once this week, didn't do any homework. Well, that happens. And the cool thing is that in spite of that, you're still here. You showed up, and you're still continuing to participate. So that's really awesome. I'm going to give you a round of applause because you're still showing up for yourself in spite of the fact that, whoops, I missed today. And rolling changes is what it's all about. You can misstep, you can stumble, but just keep going, and don't lose that momentum, right? So like you're stumbling, you know, a few times you didn't do some stuff, but you know, you also had a lot going on, so just be easy on yourself and just continue forward, because you're still getting something out of this. Yeah, and you know, if you, like I said, like before, you don't have to do all of these tasks. You don't have to do all of the homework. You can just do like the easiest and then the hardest. And I found actually that I am able to do a lot of it in, you know, either one big sitting, and then like a lot of the written exercises you can do all at once, or you can just space them out and do like one a day. So it'll be easy for you to catch up. You can actually probably just spend the afternoon doing it, and then just put it behind you. Maybe just spend a little bit of time after we're done with this live stream. Just do as much as you can in one sitting, and then call it good, close that chapter, and go to the next one. So yeah, so I found that, like, yeah, the synchronicity really ties into shame for me. I found that, so here we go. Number 4, were there any other issues this week that you consider significant for your recovery? Describe them. And this is where my comment about shame is coming in. So last week we were talking about synchronicity, shame, and growth, you know, dealing with criticism. And for me, I found that, here, actually, I wrote a different kind of note. So on page 64, I just wanted to reiterate the connection with shame here. Possibility is far more frightening than impossibility. So like as soon as those doors opened for me to do those motion graphics that I've been wanting to do, immediately it was like, oh shit, I can't do this. So maybe I can't do this. You know, all the negative self-talk where it's like, you know, how dare you dream that you can do something? You know, how dare you? And most of the time that feeling is tied with the things that, you know, are really important to you and that you're fully capable of doing. Like, you can learn anything. It's like, I posted this Bob Ross quote from my journal this week on my personal page, because it really was, you know, really hitting hard. This Bob Ross journal is really cool to go through. But this quote hit me so hard this week. The secret to doing anything is believing that you can do it. Anything that you believe you can do strong enough, you can do. Anything, as long as you believe. And like this popped up for me when I'm sitting here like, oh, there's all these cool projects that I want to do. And like this January, I did my biggest art installation ever. And it was like, as soon as I accepted it, that's when that shame and that fear, so shame is fed by fear. So that's when that fear crept in, feeding that shame, where it's like, how dare you have the audacity to think that you can do it? But you know what? I did it. I did this huge art installation. It was very well received. And I shut that shit down. So it's a mental game. And there's a lot of things that I've been wanting to do for a long time that the longer you haven't done it, the harder it is to actually take that first step. So I went and I took the first step. I told people, hey, I want to do this. Many people in the group said, hey, I'm game. And I said, okay, I'll do one at a time. So now I have to eat my words, because part of me, my motivation is lighting a fire under my ass. If I say I'm going to do something, then I need to freaking do it. But now I've told people I'm going to do it. So now I got to go out and do it. And that's how I'm going to force myself to get over the shame. I think there are nicer ways to do it, but I can be a little masochistic when I'm trying to get over this stuff. And again, it's all a mind game. It's all in your head. So definitely, let's see. So yeah, my shame kicked in, and it's definitely a coping mechanism / habit for me to see my potential until the opportunity. So yeah, I see my potential until that door opens, and then all of a sudden I'm like, I don't know if I can do it. But the thing is, you can do it. You have the vision, you have the inspiration. You just have to take those actions and take it into small baby steps. One thing that I'm going to reference my mom a lot because she's kind of my hero. But one thing that my mom tells me is, you have this big giant elephant, and how are you going to eat that elephant? One bite at a time. So I have a plan, and I'm going to execute it. And it's just put one foot in front of the other. Sorry, my messenger app is going off. Yeah. So that's my extra thing from last week. Does anybody else have anything to add? Like what, if you'd like to speak up and, let us know as a group, what kinds of things that you came into contact with, as far as roadblocks last week. Zandra, you already told us are yours. And, I think that it's really important to have compassion for ourselves. So, yes, it's good to get things done. But yes, it's also good to not beat ourselves up, because that's just perpetuating the problem. So you can kind of see it's a little bit of a double-edged sword where you're kind of walking that fine line. So that's my week 3 check-in. Now in week 4, let's see. So week 4, the topic is recovering a sense of integrity. And what did I just say? I say I want to do something until the door opens, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, I shouldn't have said that. And now I actually have to do it. What is integrity? That's follow through. That's eating your words. So this week, we're going to eat that elephant one bite at a time. Honestly, I read this and I was just like, I read this chapter and I'm like, okay, we're all in this together. You guys are going to follow along with me. This is going to be that part of the week where we've been ramping up to this, and now we're going to sit here and we're going to take action. We're going to have this sense of integrity show up. So I'm going to read the little sidebar. It gives us a nice summary here. This week may find you grappling with changing self-definition. The essay's tasks and exercises are designed to catapult you into productive introspection and integration of new self-awareness. This may be both very difficult and extremely exciting for you. Warning, do not skip the tool of reading deprivation. So there's a task that we're doing this week called reading deprivation. And that's what that's referring to. We'll get to that at the end of the chapter. All right. So this week it's about making honest changes. honest changes. Being honest with ourselves. That's kind of what the morning pages are leading us to do. You know, you're writing things down and you're finding that you can be honest with yourselves about things. And a little bit about that, we have what are our real feelings, which are often secret. And we also have what are our official feelings, which is what we tell other people about how we feel. So a lot of times what we tell other people and how we actually feel are different. Well, that's okay, because not everybody needs to know all those things. But being honest with ourselves is kind of important. So the morning pages forces us to get specific about how it is we feel. And I'm going to liken this. There's a quote in here that I really like. And this quote actually embodies how I feel about my artwork, which I think is really cool. The quote is by William Baziotis on page 80. And he says, "Each painting has its own way of evolving. When the painting is finished, the subject reveals itself." That might seem kind of counterintuitive because as you're painting, there is a subject, a visual subject. But a lot of times when you're painting, the emotion comes out. And the emotion can, and the way in which you paint can almost change how, well, it can completely change how the painting itself feels and give that really emotive aspect. So like a lot of times, like I'll mock up some digital art and it'll be one way and it's just my form and, you know, the subject that I'm actually putting into it. But then as I'm painting it, the emotion comes out and then that emotion is the subject itself. So a lot of times, like I'll write my about the painting at the end of my painting because as I'm painting it, I'm just feeling it and letting it flow and not overthinking it. So that's a good thing about that. So let's see. Avoiding the morning pages is really just about avoiding our real feelings and the necessary actions that we need to take in order to accomplish our goals, realize our dreams. Facing the official, I feel okay about something which we tell other people usually means that there is a sense of loss. And that's going to come out through our real feelings in our morning pages. It'll help us see and hear our inner intuitive guide. She refers to it as God. Some can refer to it as. So another quote here. Let's see. Oh, I wanted to read this too. So in short, extreme emotions of any kind, the very thing that morning pages are superb for processing, are the usual triggers for avoiding the morning pages themselves. So, like for me, like a lot of times if I don't want to face something, like I actually noticed, like I was writing about how I felt about certain people, certain situations, and I realized that until I started writing about it, that I wasn't really being honest with myself about like the intricacies. And a lot of times, like it's just venting that you need to do. And it's almost like walking, like as you're writing, as you vent, you almost like discharge an emotion, vent, discharge an emotion. And then you realize that maybe you have a completely different stance about something than what you initially thought. So it's a little bit like walking down a path to where you're seeing all these emotions that you're writing down and leaving, and then all of a sudden you come down to that truth, that nugget of truth down there at the end. And that's kind of how I viewed mine. So any thoughts on that? How the morning pages are working? Again, like it's you know, Zondra, I hate to put you on blast here, but like, you know, when we're dealing with heavy emotional stuff, it's hard to just want to write about it. Or, you know, if you've got stuff going on, it's hard to do that. And don't think I'm really putting you on blast. I think I'm just making an observation, like at least with myself. Like if I've got stuff going on, like, it's hard to show up and like write about it because it's like I don't want to think about it. It's upsetting. So this chapter, let's see, on page. Okay, so here we go. So about these morning pages, she's just talking about how they benefit us. And as we clarify our perceptions, we lose our misconceptions. We arrive at clarity, and clarity creates change. So once we're clarifying how we actually feel as we walk down that path of the morning pages, we're going to come to the realization, this is what I really want. Totally. Usually I do well with that, but I wanted to be present instead of record. Yeah. And the morning pages are, in the beginning of the book, she was like, oh, it's a type of meditative state. So like if you're choosing to be present in a different way, I mean, then you're being present for yourself in that way. And I think that we can use this book as a guide, but if you're adjusting it to fit your needs, which we're actually going to do through the rest of this chapter too, if you're adjusting it to fit your needs and you needed to be present for yourself in a different way, completely understandable, completely okay. Yeah. So it's hard. Stuff's hard, but, you know, loss is something that, you know, everybody deals with in a different way. So I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to make that, I don't know. Hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, so I apologize. I wasn't trying to say you did wrong or anything. Let's see. So in addition to posing problems, the pages may also pose solutions, like, I'm bored with me, it would be fun to learn French, or I noticed a sign just down the block for a clay and fiber class, that sounds interesting. So it just kind of helps us realize some things. And I find that a meditation practice actually is really helpful too, because a lot of times when I'm sitting and meditating, and as you said, Sandra, being present for myself and just with myself, and actually, I think you actually skipped ahead a week by saying that you wanted to be present for yourself. Actually, that's part of what we're doing this upcoming week too. In our, what is it? It was the reading deprivation part. So that getting rid of all the external noise and just sitting and being present. So we're going to be doing more of that this week if you're following along. So really the morning pages are showing us how we feel and then also directing us to the next steps that we need to take. And we learn what we want, and ultimately we become willing to make the changes needed to get it. But we gotta sometimes throw that emotional tantrum. So like I've noticed that after I read this chapter, I kind of internally have been like, oh, I really don't want to do this week. I really don't want to do this week. I'm feeling resistant to it. I have my habits of avoidance for the things that I want to do as far as my goals. And I have pretty good habits to avoid them. Like they're very successful in that I avoid the work. But it's time for me to sit down and do the work. So I'm noticing an internal emotional resistance and, as she calls it, a tantrum. On the side here, it says, eliminate something superfluous from your life. Break a habit and do something that makes you feel insecure. This is a quote from Piero Ferrucci. So do something that makes you feel insecure. Oof, gosh, I'm hot on the trail of this week. I don't know about you, but I'm hot on the trail of this week. Yeah, Yikes. So yeah, that tantrum, I'm feeling that pretty good. That's boiling up for me. That's bubbling up. So something to watch for. And then the next step that the morning pages helps us do is, again, it's that connecting authentically to ourselves and showing us where we need to go. It's helping us discard the old habits and making room for new belongings and habits. So like you can get rid of old material things. You can get rid of old relationships that no longer serve you. You can get rid of old habits, i.e. how you deal with people. And you can really, really start to prioritize yourself and what it is that you need and what you want. So a little bit on that, I wanted to read on page 82. People frequently believe the creative life is grounded in fantasy. And the more difficult truth is that creativity is grounded in reality. In the particular, the focused, the well-observed, or the specifically imagined. So the more difficult truth is that creativity is grounded in reality. In the specifics, in the well-observed things, in the details, basically, that quote, the devil is in the details. Whew. I don't know, it's kind of a interesting week. It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they are difficult. So again, coming back to my project, like I went to school and I got my degree in digital media arts, and I haven't been utilizing these things. I've allowed perfectionism to get in the way. Same with like paintings. Paintings take me a little bit longer of time than I want to finish, but maybe I'm not in the mood. And regardless of all that, I need to go easy on myself and actually just one thing at a time, take one step at a time. Don't sit there and look at everything you want to do that you're not doing and be like banging yourself over the head with it, because that's more of those like, you're making it difficult for yourself if you're looking at it in that way. So this week you might find, like, if you found, let me pose a question. So have you guys discovered that there's certain things that you've been doing and certain belongings that you've had and certain messes like this behind me here? See, look at this electronics mess right here and these stacks of papers back here. Those are going to get sorted out this week. And that's a big sign of, the change is happening. And the reason why those are going to get sorted out this week is because we have a brand new challenge. So, discarding the old equals making room for new belongings and new habits. 85 to 86. So all you need to do to receive guidance is to ask for it and then listen. Again, kind of part of just making room and sitting and being present. Like you said, Sandra, just being present. What is it that I need right now? In spite of what's going on around me, in spite of, and sometimes because of what's going around, sometimes you need to take that time and you need to just be with yourself. So here we have a little suggestion for us. One technique that can be very reassuring at this point is to use your morning pages or a part of them for written affirmation on your progress. And I've been doing this, and it's been pretty good because I've been like, oh, wow, looking back on the day and the week and saying, I made a big dent in this pile of laundry. I made a big dent in this pile of things that I organized, and giving yourself that credit. Or I came up with this really cool idea and I drew it out and it turned out awesome. Things like that. Another example of your morning pages is, I trust my perceptions. A stronger and clearer me is emerging. Just like I said, like there's stuff that I've been wanting to do that I'm like, okay, now I'm finally taking these baby steps toward it. Whereas before I'm just like, I'd just be talking about it and not doing anything. So choosing affirmations according to your need. As you excavate your buried dreams, you need the assurance that such explorations are permissible. I recover and enjoy my identity. So again, now we're coming back into integrity. This is like, we're going to do what we're going to say this week. And making sure that those are attainable and not too big too. There's this exercise here about buried dreams. It's asking you some questions about like hobbies that you had when you were a kid, maybe some classes that sound fun. List 5 things you used to enjoy doing. So basically any desire I can dream up, I can accomplish. That's something that is really important. And again, that's that Bob Ross quote. Anything I desire, I can do. You just have to put the work in. Like, it's not going to be handed to you, right? Like, the universe will open that door, and then when you get, like me, scared to do it, you're still taking that step anyway, regardless. So we have come to our big challenge for the week. I am feeling very resistant to this. Very, very resistant. Like I said, I have, it's called reading deprivation. And especially right now with the quarantine, nobody's getting out, nobody's seeing people. This is going to be kind of hard, but we're going to do it. So she says, we have a daily quota of media chat that we swallow up. Like greasy food, it clogs our system. By emptying our lives of distractions, we are actually filling the well. Without distractions, we are once again thrust into the sensory world. With no newspaper to shield us, a train becomes a viewing gallery. With no novel to sink into and no television to numb us out, an evening becomes a vast savanna in which furniture and other assumptions get rearranged. So basically she's saying no reading and no TV, and I'm going to go ahead and throw in no social media, because that is the big time suck for me. Is I'll sit there and I'll open my phone. I'll spend like a good couple hours spacing out, turning brain off and consuming. I know we're in quarantine right now, so I'm really hoping you guys are still with me. If you need to make adjustments to what it is you're doing, and maybe alternatively say, I'm only going to read for 2 hours, or I'm only going to watch TV at 8 o'clock after I've done all my stuff, and maybe have the entirety of the day to go buzz around and do other things, because I know a lot of people are like stuck in their houses right now. A lot of people aren't working. So if you're not working, go ahead and make a modification to this and just allow yourself maybe a limited amount of time. For me, I am still working full time, and this is daunting to me because I have my little habits. I come home and I'm like, oh, I should paint, or oh, I should work on this project. And then I'm like, I'm going to get caught up in social media. I'm going to get caught up in this Netflix show. So I'm feeling very resistant to this, and I'm leaving my house. So have some compassion on yourself, make adjustments if you need to, follow along as much as you can. And my house, all this shit is going to get organized this week, because if I can't come home and just sit and veg out, like, it's got to get done. I'm sure a lot of you have already gotten all the projects done at your house that you've been wanting, but that just makes time for more creative endeavors for you. Do a tutorial, you know. So this is kind of my kind of mood. So what I'm going to do again is I'm going to be limiting TV and social media and books. What is it that you're going to give up? And again, the whole point is, as I said, Zandra, it's about being present for yourself, which you've already been doing this last week, and we're going to carry into this upcoming week, is you know, just being with your thoughts and allowing them to be there and allowing you to wonder and daydream without, the whole point of it is without putting other people's stuff into your head. So, you know, getting rid of that media, that writing, the other people's perspective, and really just focusing on yours and what it is that you're doing. So yeah, I'm just feeling it. I'm feeling the resistance, but we're going to do it. I'm doing it. I said I was going to do this. And the reason why I wanted to do a live stream is because, you know, I have to show up for you guys, which means I now have to show up for myself. And that's a little secret. That's kind of why I teach. The best way to learn something is to teach it. So, yeah. So, the basic mindset that I'm going to adopt is, okay, like when I'm at work, I don't just sit down and dick around if I get a pause. I'm like, okay, like I need to stock this, I need to clean this, I need to do this. So it's like that continued momentum of I'm moving and I'm going to stay on task. So I perceive that when I get home, instead of, you know, sitting down and going on social media, well, okay, I'm not allowed to do that. So now I'm going to actually pick up my paintbrush at a time that I normally wouldn't. I'm going to actually, open up my art software and create some digital art that normally I would just find an excuse to avoid by being, you know, sucked into cat videos or sucked into something else. I'm going to be opening YouTube and doing tutorials. There's a couple tutorials that I've earmarked that I've been wanting to do that I haven't done. So that's my plan. Stay on task. And, you know, have that time to mellow out. You know, this week I did some of that where, you know, I started working out this week, finally. Since my yoga studio closed, I haven't been working out. So this week I started to work out. Felt really good about that. Well, this week is really going to solidify that that's going to continue to happen because no social media means I don't have a reason to get distracted. You know, do I feel like doing it? No. Am I going to do it? Yes. Do it anyway. So that's life. Tough love on ourselves right now. We're going to take those baby steps into realizing our dreams, and we're going to get the distractions out of there, and we're going to make it happen. So let's see, do you have any thoughts on that? All right, well, feel free to pop in there, and if there's something that you'd like to get done this week with that new time opening up, go ahead and put it in the comment, and I'd love to hear what that is. But I'm going to go up and, you know, this is a pretty quick chapter this week. On page 88, there's a list of activities that we can do instead of reading or consuming media. Listen to music, make curtains, watch the dogs, sort closets, pay bills, write old friends, repost some plants, mend, knit, cook, fix the bike, watercolor, rewire the lamp. Dude, you guys totally rewired a lamp, Sandra. Paint the bedroom, rearrange the kitchen, work out, meditate, have friends to dinner, or call a friend, do a video chat with friends, get the stereo working, sort bookshelves, That's a dangerous one if we're not supposed to read. Go dancing. And she says, those who have most resisted it. Okay, so in regards to this upcoming week, like I'm sitting here like, oh God, no, don't make me do this. But in regards to the people who are resisting it most, Julia says that they have come back with the most smugly rewarded for doing it. And I'm going to liken this. I have an anecdote, actually. So there's some 3D software that I have to learn, and I started learning it. And a little trick for myself that I did was just 5 minutes. Show up for yourself for 5 minutes. Okay, there's something that I've been wanting to do that I'm feeling resistant to it. So I'm just going to carve out 5 minutes, and I'm going to sit down and I'm going to do it for 5 minutes. And at the end of the 5 minutes, if I don't want to keep doing it, then I don't have to. And do you know what happens? Usually I do it for like an hour or 2 hours or the rest of the afternoon. And this is a good trick for those of you who are like struggling to do physical activity. Just say 5 minutes. For 5 minutes, I'm going to do it. For 5 minutes, I'm going to get up and I'm going to go run around. Or for 5 minutes, I'm going to get up and I'm going to dance. And once you start dancing, it's hard to stop and you're going to continue to do it. So same with like a creative activity. Once you start doing it, you're going to continue doing it, even though you've only set a 5 minute limit. So again, I'm going to read that. Those who have most resisted it have come back the most smugly rewarded for having done it. And this is with the reading deprivation. This is going to free up all this time for us. We're going to have to do all those things that we've been avoiding doing. Because what do you do when there's something that you've been avoiding doing? Something consume media. So, yikes. And of course she says, yes, you can still read the book and do this week's tasks. Yikes. Well, what did I say? Oh, so there's also, if you're also struggling, like on page 86, there's an exercise with 6 questions, and it's called Buried Dreams and Exercise. So if possible this week, if you start to run out of things to do, take a look at that list and see if there's something that you can do. Like for me, I wrote down, I wrote it over here. So for me on that list, it kind of gave me some ideas of things that I could do for this week if I ran out of time. I'm trying to find it. Oh, yeah. So it's like list 5 hobbies that sound fun. Where did I put it? I lost my list. Well, I lost my list, so I can't read you that. Shit. 5 hobbies that sound fun. Yeah, it's gone. I lost it. I don't know where it is. But anyway, if you do that, you can figure out stuff that you can do instead of consuming media. So again, we're all doing this together. So there's a list of our tasks for this week. And we're basically at the end of this chapter. And these tasks are actually really cool because they're going to kind of feed into the whimsy of this week. So this week, because I'm not going to be able to consume media, I'm going to do my best to make everything as fun as possible. I'm going to do my best to make everything that I want to do just into a game, make it kind of whimsical, magical. So the tasks that we have, number 1, it's like environment. Describe your ideal environment. 1 paragraph. You can even take an image, make like a collage about what your ideal environment is. There's time travel. Describe yourself at 80. What did you do after 50 that you enjoyed? Be very specific. Write a letter from you at 80 to you at your current age. What would you tell yourself? What interests would you urge yourself to pursue? And what dreams would you encourage? This is going to fuel our week. you know, it's going to fuel that curiosity and that like zest for doing things now. You got to do stuff now because it's like I was saying, you know, are you ever going to look back on this and say, wow, I wish I had done this with all that time that I had? So I'm trying to reframe this week into that. This is an opportunity for me to get into the stuff that I don't have time to do because I'm getting sucked into social media. So again, these tasks are really fun. We have, you know, go back and look at your life pie and see how you're spending your time. There's opening your closet is one of them. Throw out or donate one low self-worth outfit. So what outfit do you put on that like you're just like, oh man, I feel like crap in this? Just get rid of it. Getting rid of the old makes way for the new. So getting rid of that social media, that time suck, with those books, the TV, that's going to make way for the new things that we're resistant to doing. Ooh, this is hitting hard for me today. Hitting hard. Oh. Ouch, you guys. We got this, though. We're in this together. We're doing it. We're showing up. You guys are still showing up in this chat. You guys are still showing up for yourselves. And even if you didn't make it to this chat today and you're rewatching this, don't be hard on yourself. Even if you didn't do all your morning pages or if you didn't do all the tasks or you fell behind, okay, it's done. Let's just keep going. Let's just keep going. Let's keep moving forward. There's no need to beat ourselves up. There's no need to do any more damage, you know. All right. So that's all I have for you guys today. Whew. Yikes. We got this. I'm ready. Are you ready? Go team. All right, Sandra. It was nice to see you. I hope that your week gets better. I hope that everybody just hangs in there. So if you have any questions, I'll be here for a few more minutes. Oh, I wanted to remind you guys watching this, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. There's a little link here in the corner right there. Hit that button, hit subscribe, and then hit the bell to be notified when I go live so you get actual notifications when these are coming on. Yeah, so subscribe, hit the bell, do something fun. You know, just if there's something that you've been dying to do this week, we're going to do it. Thank you, Zandra. I really appreciate you showing up. I'm sorry things are going on. But yeah, got for you. All right, babies, you have a wonderful week. Zandra, drive safe tomorrow. Let me know if you need anything. You can always call me. I will definitely have more time this week to talk. So yeah. All right. Love you, babies. See ya.